Hi, welcome back to another episode of A Closer Look. I'm Donna Giroux, the Executive Director at CATV, and with me today are three amazing women from the Center for Women and Enterprise. So let me introduce you. First, Gwen Pacalo. She's
nice
the Director.
Job.
Did I pronounce that correctly? We didn't. I should have asked you this beforehand. So she is the director of the Vermont Center for Women in Enterprise. And then I have Madeline Brumberg, who is the project manager north of the Center for Women in Enterprise, and Monique Priestley, who I actually happen to know through another program. She is the project manager for COVID business recovery. I really appreciate you ladies all coming because the economy is on my mind. And so I wanted to take a closer look at Vermont, and for our New Hampshire viewers, we'll also talk a little about New Hampshire. So I think that women in enterprise is so important in any state. And whenever we talk about women in enterprise, we're usually talking about small businesses, which I don't know whether that's a bias or a reality, but I thought we could talk about what the services are that you provide. And I'm just going to ask my questions generally, and whoever wants to chime in, please.
Thank you so much, Donna, for having us on the show, and for your viewers checking us out. In short, our kind of tagline is that you don't have to do business by yourself. It can feel really alienating starting a new business, being in business for yourself, and especially now during this unprecedented time during COVID. And so we at the Center for Women in Enterprise are here to help. We offer no-cost business counseling throughout the life of a business. And we offer tons of different types of trainings, networking opportunities, and women's business enterprise certification. And the whole point of all we do is to make sure that women have access to the networks, resources, information that they need to make the decisions they want to be making about their economic health and vitality. And so we have been around. The Center for Women in Enterprise is an economic development nonprofit. We've been around since 1995. We were started in Boston, and then we grew rapidly. And the New Hampshire and Vermont Center for Women in Enterprises offices started in 2015 and 2016, respectively. And the way that we were able to open is through being awarded the Women's Business Center grants for New Hampshire and Vermont. So what's cool is each state is funded for a women's business center. And those women's business centers are a program of the Small Business Administration. They partially fund these services. So tax dollars go to pay for no-cost business counseling and trainings. Each state has one of these. We're in partnership also with the Small Business Development Center and SCORE and the Veteran Business Outreach Centers of New England. We at the Center for Women in Enterprise are really honored to also host not just the women's business centers of New Hampshire, Vermont, Central Massachusetts, Boston, and Rhode Island, but we also host the Veteran Business Outreach Center of New England, which provides additional resources and services to active duty members of the military, their families, and to veterans. So we're here to help. And we can often be a clearinghouse, introduce individuals to the private sector resources that they might need. We help with business planning, strategic planning. Essentially, if you have a business or you're thinking about it, and you want an extra set of eyes on it, we're here for you.
That's great. So Gwen, if I was a man watching this, or first let's talk about women and they have a mom pop. Can they still come? You know, like I'm a woman and my husband's a man. Does that still apply? People have these sort of questions. Or I'm a man and I'm feeling isolated. Why do I have to go to the Small Business Administration, but they get this extra layer of help? You know, like my taxpayers are paying for it. So what is it that makes it uniquely helpful to women? And if you're a man watching this and feeling isolated, where should they go?
Totally. We can't wait to see you, whoever you are, however you identify. Really, when we talk about a women's business center, we do not discriminate at all. This is simply another resource available. And we do business slightly differently. We know, the literature shows, research shows that women do business differently. They interact with the economy differently. And as I'm sure we're going to talk about later in the show, is that women are impacted in different ways, often more deeply, by things like COVID in their businesses. And so we at the Center for Women in Enterprise just do business slightly differently. We do a lot more deep dive involvement with clients. We really invest in long-term relationships with our clients and also in making sure they have a community. Women tend to learn better when they are able to apply what they're learning. So we really stay out of academics in our business planning courses and all of our multi-week courses. We stay out of academia. We really get into how does this directly apply to your business. A lot of hands-on learning, sharing about of real experiences. And we know that we acknowledge a whole being in a business. We know that you started a business or have been running this business, and you also have a family, and you might be the primary caretaker of whoever your family is. We know that you might be having a hard time doing work-life balance things. And so in that respect, we know that each individual has a different trajectory as they are navigating business. We don't force anybody into any options. You don't have to hire, you don't have to take on VC funding, but if you want to, just know that this is an option. This might be an option, and these are the things that you would do to pursue those opportunities.
That's really compelling to me because, in a time of crisis now, people are feeling a little wobbly emotionally as well as watching their business crumble, right? So to have a deeper relationship to help me pull through, that's why I originally called you or emailed you, was I had gotten the press release for Monique here, Priestley's new job as project manager for the COVID business recovery. And I thought that was compelling because I was like, ooh, they have somebody who is really focused on this. So I was wondering, I know Monique, it's a new position for you, but I'm wondering if you could talk about what you think your support is going to be for entrepreneurs.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Selma. Yeah, so we have one in each state, in each region. So there's one in New Hampshire, and then my counterpart, Jessica Terzakis. And then so I'm handling the Vermont side. And so far, when I jumped into the Vermont team, we were already dealing with the ACCD, Vermont Emergency Economic Recovery Grant. And that was, it was a lot of people applying, and one, running into things that they had never had to prepare before, like income statements that included expenses and the income. It was things like, I walked one woman through who only had paper finances and needed to turn things into a PDF electronically, and you could tell she was an elderly woman. And so I ended up walking her through how to take a picture and text it to me. And then I turned it into a PDF and then showed her how to download a PDF so she could upload it to the state. It's just I think that taking the extra step is something that people are just frantic about everything right now, and trying to apply for money in order to just sustain themselves and to sustain their families. They need that extra little bit of help. And so I feel like Center for Women in Enterprise is here to provide that extra step when people are they don't need to worry about having it all figured out themselves. We're here to help them. And so I'm really attracted to that in this team. So. Yeah.
Oh, I think that's so compelling. Just knowing I've had to fill out so many grant applications, and rage is the
exactly.
predominant I can't do this fast enough. This sort of, so I can empathize with that. And also that's what we do is frequently people call public access media centers and ask for that sort of assistance. So bravo, Monique, that you're teaching somebody how to make a PDF.
Yeah. It's great. Yeah. Great.
That's good. That's good. So can they call you? So tell me about the website, if somebody could give me the website address. So whether I'm new, I think your website address will be is sort of like a front door to Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, and Vermont, which is sort of a north. I don't know whether Maine's involved in that, but can somebody clarify?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah. So Vermont, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Central Mass, and Boston. And the web address is cweonline.org. And then you can select the state.
Cool. And then once you select the state, I assume there is just a massive amount, from what I saw, of classes and assistance, and it's almost inundating. So I was wondering whether, Madeline, whether you could talk to us about that.
Sure. So we do have on our website, it gives a pretty brief overview of the kind of services that we offer, as Gwen was talking about before. One-on-one business counseling for the life of your, no-cost one-on-one business counseling for the life of your business. No and low-cost workshops and classes to help you dig into financials, marketing, e-commerce, things like that. And then also, you can have the contact information. And if you're wondering about some specific questions about, for example, the state grant program that recently happened, feel free to reach out to us at info.vermont@cweonline.org, which again, you can find on our website, or you can give us a call, 802-391-4870. And we will either pick up the call or we perhaps are on the call with someone else and we'll give you a call right back. I can't tell you the number of people who over the past couple months have just been so thankful to hear back from someone from our office, because, they've called a million offices, and obviously all economic development offices right now, whether that's at a county level, a state level, or a federal level, are very inundated, as you might imagine. And people just want to make sure that they have the right information, and that, a lot of times I'm just confirming that people have learned about all of the programs and that they've done everything. The number of times that I've just been like, yes, you've done all the steps that you need to do. And, there is some waiting involved in some of these applications. I think people are just like relieved to be like, okay, I can stop frantically Google searching because it's so overwhelming. And you can also on our website, just last thing, there are some overarching COVID relief resources. So as we see additional state and federal programs come out, we do add it to our COVID resources, which is on our website as well as in all of our signatures when you email us.
And in your position, what do you do in the organization? You have an ominous title, right?
Thank you. So good. So I work with the Vermont office, the Vermont Women's Business Center, the New Hampshire Women's Business Center, and the Veterans Business Outreach Center of New England. And my states for the Veterans Business Outreach Center are Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. So we do have a small footprint in Maine, but exclusively the Veterans Program, not the Women's Business Center there. Yeah, so I work one-on-one with clients and connecting them with resources, as well as schedule and plan programming going forward. And some of that is CWE's core programming. We run it all of the time. It's steps to start your business, business plan basics, legal considerations when starting a business. And we're continuing to run those classes because we're finding that a lot of people's lives have been disrupted and they're actually turning to entrepreneurship. And we're seeing a big increase in inquiries for those kind of classes. So we continue to schedule those forward, as well as working with Monique and the other COVID managers, Jessica Terzakis, for example, in the New Hampshire office, to develop programming that specifically responds to COVID and how businesses can respond to that. So, some examples of classes that we've already run are a multi-week marketing in intense times class. We've run e-commerce workshops, helping people to build up their websites, examples like that. And we'll continue to build out that program as we hear from our clients what they're really looking for in this time.
So this is a question for everyone. So I have a small business, and this is a scenario, not me. I have a small business, and I want to flesh out my website to start doing online sales, but I don't have the funding. So funding is always an issue. Are you a conduit to funding? I think you mentioned something like that in the beginning of the conversation.
That's a great question. So we incidentally get a lot of asking for a friend questions too. So we are here for it. So in any case, so in your example, Donna, I would probably take two tacts. One, in your example, you said, I am looking to expand my online presence, sell stuff online. I would probably start with, in your counseling session, finding out what it is that people are actually buying from you. Not the product or service. Yeah, that's how you deliver whatever your clients are buying, but what is the actual value and what are the benefits that individual, your customers, are achieving once they give you the money? That's the exchange. They're getting the benefit, you're getting them their money. And why you? Why you? And who actually is giving you money? It's so interesting to see where a lot of times I've had two businesses in my life. The businesses that I had, I thought my customers were one group of people. I was developing all of my messaging and my services all around this one group of people. Turns out they were taking 80% of my time, but 20% of my revenues were coming from them. The majority of my revenue was coming from someone that I wasn't acknowledging. And so we would walk you through who are your best customers? Why are they your best customers? What's the relationship they have with you? We would also look at how are your financials, okay? We've got to get your financial picture. No matter how scary it is, we've seen it all before. So that's another thing. Very few things freak us out in the business counseling realm. So we would take a clean look at what do your financial statements look like. You don't know what your financial statements are? Great. Let's start by looking through, these are the basics these are the types of financial statements you might have. These are how to create them if you don't have them. And so walking you through the kind of foundational pieces of the financial statements. Then we get a look at what is it that you actually need the business to be doing for you financially. How much money do you need to be bringing in, and for what? Where are you using that money? We don't really take a minimize your expenses route or perspective. We really look at what is it that you want the business to be doing for you, and we'll back into it from there. Then once we get that kind of strategy, then we get an idea of what types of financial products might be a good fit for you. Should you need to go externally? So should you need to seek that funding elsewhere? And right now during COVID, there are a variety of financial products, both public and private, that might be available to the small business owner that we're working with in this situation, that might behoove them to take advantage of, whether or not they necessarily need the money immediately. Once you need the money immediately, we also know that you're acting out of the sense of urgency that can make it difficult to make the strategic decisions that you want to be making that'll benefit you in the long run. So coming back to your specific question about what are the financial products that might be available, I can kind of just give us a rundown of what's available as a result of the COVID programming or the congressional programming, both on the state and federal levels, to small business owners within the viewership area, within New Hampshire and Vermont. So on a federal level, through the CARES Act, there were a number of products that were released. The Small Business Administration has stood up a number of programs that are beneficial. There's two main ones that I would talk about. People might have heard of the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program. And that program was developed. It's a forgivable loan if you meet some certain criterion. And the whole point of that was to make sure that we were stabilizing our economy to some extent. So keeping people off of unemployment as long as we could, helping to kind of balance out the economy, give us some breathing room. Then there's the EIDL, the Economic Impact Disaster Loan Program. That is operated directly out of the Small Business Administration. I did fail to say that the PPP is, you get that through a bank. You apply through a bank. Now, none of this is just free money, and none of this is just awarded to you. There are applications and qualifications and things that one has to meet.
Gwen, can I interrupt there?
Sure.
And then I know there's state. And I'm sure that if people have a one-on-one meeting, they would talk to you about that and
Absolutely.
get an interesting perspective, because I know these programs keep evolving. It's like you're playing a game and they keep changing the rules of the game. So it's there's a certain sense of insanity right now. So it's nice to go to an organization like yours to be able to say, how are you interpreting this now? So what I hear you saying is that your organization helps harness these opportunities that you see, and helps you see opportunities to meet whatever your business goals are. So if I come to you and say, I think I need a loan in stressful, I like the fact that you step back and say, let's get a landscape view of this before you go racing off to get money. Oh my gosh, you're like the parent that everyone needs. The rich uncle.
The baggage, though.
Or should we say the rich aunt?
Yeah. Although
Okay.
we don't have money, so we don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, we at the Center for Women in Enterprise, this is an important note. It comes up often. If we could just make a note, we at the Center for Women in Enterprise don't give out any money, which is really good news because we're able to be unbiased in that respect.
But you can direct people to an economic development corporation in an area, right? You're networked at the yin yang. I don't know. you're well networked.
Yeah,
right.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. And so we can walk people through. Are you aware of these products at the federal level? Those are the two main ones, as well as a variety of express loan programs and things like that the SBA has always had that they've expanded. At the state level, there are a variety of grants through a variety of different agencies, depending on what industry the individual is in. So navigating those programs, as well as more traditional financing routes of small business loans, commercial loans, micro loans. There are a variety of products right now. And so one of the things that a client can expect coming to the Center for Women in Enterprise is kind of a holistic view of these are the different products that are available. Now, which one do you think might make it worth your time applying for? And will meet your goals, and B, let's get you ready. So we'll help you put together the financial package and things like that.
Madeline and Monique, I was wondering if you see any trends that, I know a trend of needing money is a trend recently, but any business needs that owners are facing other than the panic of the pandemic? Anyone?
Sure. A lot of our clients are high touch clients, so they work a lot with their clients in person. And so while we have seen many of our clients do an incredible job and really dig into pivoting to being online, that's not necessarily an option for, say a hairdresser. I have heard of some people trying to, sort of navigate haircuts over Zoom, but that sounds much too terrifying. So, I have seen that. But most of our clients are just waiting to get back they're now back in person. And so navigating some of the new regulations to make sure they're in compliance, as well as, keeping themselves safe, and then dealing with the associated costs with, adding barriers, making sure they're wearing masks and adhering to all of the new rules. But a lot of it is just figuring out how to deliver those services that they have delivered in one way for a very long time, and how to deliver those in a more remote fashion, whether that's, contactless pickup or, solely e-commerce and through, through sending packages, or through web visits for, say a therapist, for example. And so helping people really strategically think, as Gwen was saying earlier, who are the clients that you are really serving, and where is your revenue coming from, and how can you serve those clients with the same value, even if it's in a completely different format. And so helping people strategically think through that is a huge part of what we're doing.
And I would just add too that in addition to people who have been in business trying to pivot, just seeing an increased number of people who are starting businesses that have been working for someone that they then lost their job during COVID. And I've seen people who are now like running shops out of their garage or are now catering out of their kitchen, that kind of stuff. And like I don't think they ever expected to be business owners themselves, and they just jumped into it because of COVID. But now at some point they're going to have to step back a little bit, and they're going to need some support to actually do a business plan and look at how that looks in the long run. And so I think that's a big part of CWE, is just being here to support people who are brand new entrepreneurs that never expected to be in their lives.
So if I understand this, Monique, if they establish a relationship with you because it's COVID related, but then as COVID wanes, in our deepest dreams, we all want this to happen in a year, which realistically may not happen for a while. So would they maintain a relationship with you, or would you sort of pass them off to get a business plan with some other person in your organization? How does that?
Yeah, exactly. So the whole team has different strengths. And in addition to the three of us on the call, we have a core counselor team, at least on the Vermont side, which have backgrounds in marketing and operations and finance and specific niches like retail and food and that kind of stuff. So basically when somebody comes to CWE, we ask some initial questions to figure out the best fit for who in the team is best to like work with them. And then that person kind of does a one-on-one, but then they're also just opened up to all the classes and the workshops and the networking and that kind of stuff for an ongoing basis.
And how do you deal with networking during do you like do a webinar and then pop into little chat rooms? I mean, how do you bond virtually to create a network of entrepreneurs?
I was getting up. Gwen wanted to. I was going to say,
totally.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kind of a question of our how do we bond during COVID, right? And talk about an existential question. So what we've done at CWE though is we did a couple of things. So at the start of COVID, we started reaching out to people who had already been a part of CWE, taking classes, business counseling, whatever. We were just like, hey, get on a call with us. We're here if you want. And that was awesome. People were just showing up and really solutions oriented rather than discussing the nature of the virus and all that. We really stuck to important, solutions for your business. Then we've realized that it can really work to have small group cohorts. And so we have, for all of our multi-week courses, we limit it to 12 to 15 people. And there's tons of breakout space, online space. There are breakout sessions. There's drop-in sessions. We have small group kind of counseling online. So we make do, certainly. We really look at finding ways that we can connect individuals. So we have a program that's kind of built into all of our multi-week programs. We kind of call them accountability partners. So we hook you up with someone who's in your class, who's in a similar state of business development or industry, or just also starting a business or running a business, and encourage you and provide you a little bit of a framework to be able to build that and that relationship. So we try to do it as much as we can. A lot of phone calls, a lot of videos, hopping on videos. Really, connecting people as much as we can.
And if I can make a plug for the New Hampshire clients, we partnered with the Making Matters Makerspace, and we're hosting a networking in a virtual world class with them on August 26th. So they should head over to Making Matters website and check that out.
That sounds really interesting. It's compelling because an accountability, just to have a buddy who's going through something similarly to you. Like if I'm a manufacturer, I want to talk to manufacturers, how are you marketing, et cetera, et cetera. So I find that interesting. When I was on your website, I saw that what Monique had mentioned, that the individuals on the crew, the staff, with their specialties. Can I call them or contact them directly, or is there sort of a filtration in the beginning and then it's passed to that person?
It's a fantastic question. So you, if you're new to CWE, you would get in touch with info.vermont@cweonline.org or with Madeline or Monique directly, call the phone number, whatever, right? Get in touch with us. And we would do a short assessment with you to make sure that that individual, you're ready to meet with the business counselor. The core counseling team is awesome, and we can't wait for you to meet with them. We might find that going through one of the 2-hour workshops, Steps to Start or Steps to Grow Your Business, might be a good starting point so that when you come out of that, you get kind of the foundational stuff out of the way so that once you get to that individual business counseling session, you are hitting the ground running, being able to do really in-depth counseling and in-depth work with your counselor. So you would get in touch with us first, then we get you over to the right resources.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Because I know, like, we're all impatient entrepreneurs and we see that person and we want to talk to that person. But what you're saying is, again, we have to step back and make sure that your limited resources are being used correctly and getting to the right person. I have one more question that I am curious if you're seeing any crisis impact on women-owned businesses differently than others. Obviously, maybe you don't have a point of reference because you're not working with others, but I am curious. I mean, if I were an entrepreneur right now and had kids, I would probably be at wit's end.
Yeah. And we see a lot of clients at wit's end. They are calling this recession a she-cession. Nationally, women-owned businesses are feeling the crisis deeper and have felt it longer simply because women tend to dominate in service industries. That's no different here in Vermont. So as Madeline had indicated, there are women tend to dominate in high-touch businesses, healthcare businesses, child-related businesses, retail, restaurants. What were the first things that were shut down during the quarantines were these types of businesses. So since that's the case,
Gwen, you call them high touch because physically people are coming.
Often, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Often they are literally high touch. You're touching the person, and their business might be not necessarily physically touching, but it's high touch as in direct consumer to business relationships that can't necessarily translate directly online immediately when that relationship was always held in person. And so pivoting has been an imperative. Women business owners who did a lot of in-person stuff have needed the equipment, the PPE, right, the personal protective equipment, and the kind of services and equipment in place to make it safe for them and for their clients. Also, keeping in mind, women continue, and Vermont's no different, women continue to be the more frequently the head of household / head of the care team in their home. So taking care of an aging parent can be difficult during COVID, certainly at any time, but certainly during COVID, it makes some difficult decisions. The business owner have to make some difficult decisions. And then also looking at, when they have to take care of the learning needs of their young ones and also run a business, that's also difficult. And so what we've seen at Center for Women in Enterprise is our clients get scrappy. They're making it work. And it's amazing. We can't wait to come on again and tell you about all the amazing pivoting stories that people are making. And one of the things that some people are finding is the best option is to close right now. And maybe they'll come back to it later. And we can also help have those difficult conversations and make them, that experience not as heartbreaking as it might seem on the surface.
That's a really important point. Sometimes you just need that consultation, because everyone wants to come out of this healthy. right? And if your kid's not as educated as he should be, it's okay. They're smart. They can catch up. So, Madeline, I just wanted to start with you to close the conversation. I was wondering if there's anything specifically you thought that you'd like to share with our audience.
Just that we know at the Center for Women Enterprise that it can be really lonely to be a small business owner and to be an entrepreneur, especially if you're a first-time business owner and maybe you don't have friends or family who have done it. And it doesn't have to be. I think Gwen opened with talking about that, and we're here to be your thought partners. And, you know, maybe you don't have a specific question, but you just kind of need to talk through your scenario and see if there are resources or if what you're thinking makes sense. We are here for that as well. We're really business counselors, emphasis on the counselors many times, especially during coronavirus. So it can be a lonely road, but we are here to help you make it through. That's
brilliant. I'm glad you shared that. Monique, do you have anything you want to share in closing?
Sure. Yeah, I think so. A big part of this job for me is expanding the reach of CWE. There's been some regions that it's been really been able to focus on, and then others that haven't been touched yet. So I think if there's people out there who want to bring programming to their say rural communities or communities that they haven't seen business and entrepreneurship programming, and specifically also workshops for women, then just to reach out, because I would love to find out those little pockets that feel like they have some businesses that need extra support that haven't received them before.
And when I met you, Monique, you too are a small business owner. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely. So I have the space on Main in Bradford. So it's a co-working. It was really actually kind of created to help to fill an entrepreneurship gap from our Chamber of Commerce as well. So this is an awesome thing to kind of, I've been doing a lot of entrepreneurship support and volunteering on the side outside of work. So it's nice to be able to actually focus on this kind of stuff during work as well.
Excellent. I'm sure that every person in Vermont will be thrilled if you can help people stimulate the economy, especially women and enterprise.
Definitely try.
Gwen, anything you want to say that perhaps we didn't talk about to close, other than let me encourage the viewers to go onto your website. Gwen, if you could lead us off with telling us what the website is again.
Sure thing. So we cannot wait to see you. You can find us first at cweonline.org. You can also contact us directly at info.vermont@cweonline.org. We have a phone number. I don't know if it's helpful to say. I'll say it anyway right now. 802
391 4870.
Wait, 4870?
That is correct.
We'll ask our editor to put it on the beneath our name so people can look at it and go, oh, let me get a pen.
Yeah. Right. Donna, what's your phone number? We'll just say that. We'll just
sure. Sure. Call CATV.
Yeah. And in short, you ask a great question. What do we want people to walk away with is that really it can feel like crazy times. It feels like crazy times right now. And you might be feeling like you are crazy. Many of us do. But you don't have to go crazy alone. And it might not be as crazy as you think. And knowing that we at the Center for Women in Enterprise are here now and will be here after Corona throughout the length of your business. So no matter what the case may be, a lot of times we have linear thinking, and if we've learned anything in our years of working with small business owners, is that there is nothing linear, that it's all just one foot in front of the other, and we're here to walk with you.
Excellent. I who could say anything better than that? Ladies, I really support your mission. CWE is Center for Women and Enterprise. Know that you're supported in the Northeast. Small business really will be the health of the economy and will bring us back. So if everyone could stay safe. I want to invite anyone to take my role and be the host of another episode of A Closer Look, and you could interview someone of interest or some organization of interest, just we take a look at anything. We take a closer look at anything in the Upper Valley, and the Upper Valley is broad. So I would like to say thank you and farewell to my guests. Thank you, Monique, Madeline, Gwen, and keep up the great work.
Awesome. Thanks
Thank you so much.